We're going to get 300 bees. So you have to see that how that smoke is like thin. It's pretty warm. Too much air, not enough fuel.
So how far away, if you just have a couple of hives and you've got like a large enough area, how far away should you put them if you wanted to help stop some of the drift?
Some of the drift. About, in Brett's study, we did 100 meters and didn't see any drift over the summer. At 10 meters, it was limited. So it's pretty hard to kind of do things practically and have them spaced where they won't do mites. So one thing you can do to effectively put more space or just discourage drift is paint shapes on the front of your hives and maybe alter the height of them and the direction that they're facing so that you get less drifting of bees from hive to hive. And in that case, if you could do 100 meters or have some shapes, maybe you would consider treating just 1 or 2 hives. Especially at 100 meters, you could consider those almost as separate bee yards.
Okay.
What do you mean by painting shapes?
Just like make a stencil and paint a circle or a triangle.
And the bee will know that's
Exactly.
right?
I painted mine different colors and put different shape on each one of them.
See, so painting my pipe this year
Yeah.
was a good idea.
But I can easily rotate.
So what's it doing? Does it kind of rolls them in?
Yeah, what happens is you roll it across their back and they probably kind of want to come sting you and let go because they don't know what it is and fall into the jar. And it does make them, these bees are fairly docile. It does make them, you can see them flying around. It does kind of agitate them when you do roll the jar across them. And the sugar shake, you'll see why. It definitely agitates them. I'm just going to close this up, that way these bees in the jar are going to get angry and put off the alarm pheromones, so kind of reduce their interaction a little bit.
I don't guess smoking them ahead of time just isn't good.
After this, it's not going to matter what you do. They're going to be bad.
Is that the screen like when you have like a sprouting jar?
This is an 1/8 inch mesh hardware cloth on a regular mason jar. You can use wide mouth, you can use narrow mouth, you can use pint jars, you can use quart jars. It doesn't matter.
It just looks like there's a sprouting jar that has about that same mesh.
Yeah. It's 1/8 inch hardware cloth.
They look pissed.
Yeah, they are.
At least they're pretty quiet.
And this is, we're calling this 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. That's what the book says. So you're supposed to roll it around on them.
It makes the mites sweat, right? So
Yeah, it makes, the bees are going to, and it might be hard to see, but the bees, they'll actually raise their temperature inside this jar, and that can help dislodge and kill mites. They're also grooming and cleaning themselves with their legs, and then the sugar can get on the feet of the mites and kind of help dislodge them. So it's just something to dislodge them. If you're unsure on the 2 tablespoons of sugar, usually I go a little more because I'm definitely not going to take the time to get an actual measurement. So we'll let this sit. Usually I would actually time it out for a minute. I do let it sit for a while, especially because there's so much, with the sugar shake, there's already inaccuracy and that the sugar just doesn't get all the mites off. So I try and be a little bit more by the book. Let it sit. Roll it around.
So if you're going to just treat them with sugar, you just take your inner cover off and just dust them?
Yeah, you just take a sifter, you sift over those top bars, take your brush and brush it down. You need to use screen bottom board if you're going to do that so the mites can fall off the bees and fall through the screen. If you have a solid bottom board, you're just making your bees angry for no reason, stressing them out.
So is solid better than screen, or screen's better than solid?
There you go. Solid, I can tell you, screen does slightly reduce your mite load. Gives you more ventilation, so that they do produce a little bit more brood. I do like them for if you move bees and you close the entrances, it really stresses them out, and that gives them extra ventilation. but to tell you the truth, I also like solid. They say it's more natural because like trees, whatever, their normal natural nesting cavity are solid, and the screens let light in. So especially if I'm catching a swarm, it's nice to close it off to kind of encourage that swarm to stay. You don't want it to abscond back out.
But if you were going to do that, you'd slide your board in underneath.
You can do that. Yep, absolutely.
Do you leave that board under there, or do you take it out?
I pretty much at the university we left them out year round. On my hives, usually I put them in like in late, like leave them in December, part of December, all of January, maybe a little of February, just to keep the wind from blowing up in there. Really, you don't need to because the bees heat the cluster; they don't heat that whole hive. So just maybe some wind that might slip up in there, kind of blocking that. But what it does is if you leave it in, the debris and the wax falls through your screen, and you have a protected haven for small hive beetles between the screen and the plastic sheet. So,
What's the reason for letting the smoke run?
it reduces the airflow through it, so it uses less fuel and keeps it cooler. I control my burn with airflow like that, basically. I'm not great with pine straw at it. I don't have it to an art yet with the wood chips, but we'll get there. So we'll just go ahead and shake it. So I just start watching. Usually I have it up on. I'll go ahead and move it up on hive. So my hives are this time of year. Usually they're a bit taller and on hive stands, but I just do it like this and shake it. Cool thing about this is the mites are very much alive on this method, and so you'll see them wiggling in the sugar. Now I've got really good eyesight, so and I spend a lot of time staring at mites, way too much time staring at mites too. But if you have trouble with that, do it into water and then pour the water over a coffee filter, and you'll be looking at a few little mites on a bright white coffee filter. They really stand out. This I feel like they stand out pretty good because, I mean, if one falls now, it's on all that white sugar, and the fact that they move helps.
Do you want any water? I have a bottle of water if you want to sprinkle any on.
Maybe I should have let this sit a little longer. And you can see these like pellets of sugar. That's where if you go too rough on them, they regurgitate from their stomach. It beats them up pretty good, which we might get a little rough because we're not getting mice. This debris.
Hey, I won't make them mad at all.
No. So you can see, kind of makes me question the accuracy here. The fact that it's the ether roll we did on this hive, and we got like 3 mites, and here we are with a sugar shake getting none.
Shaking the heck out of them.
I'm really trying here because that happened.
Keep shaking them. They're going to want the ether.
I may give them a little more sugar here. Yeah.